Привет, я Надя Freund, президент компании Nailebrity в Канаде. Мы сегодня находимся на острове Vashion, недалеко от Сиэтла, штат Вашингтон, в Америке. И со мной сегодня Elaine Watson. У нас 4 дня Nail Camp, это 135 мастеров ногтевого бизнеса, также преподавателей. И это мероприятие происходит здесь каждый год, мы всегда учимся друг у друга, преподаем, и в этом году у нас старкаст Elaine Watson. Вы ее знаете по шоу Nailebrity, которое мастера красоты переводит для вас и транслирует для вас. Мастера красоты прислали мне вопросы, которые вы бы хотели узнать, и я задаю их сегодня Elaine. И hi, Elaine.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thank you for taking time. We have very busy time, and it was very busy weekend. I very enjoyed it, and I very enjoyed to meet you, and it is a very great pleasure. I was so nervous meeting you, and finally we're here, and it was great to hear you. So tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you come into the nail industry? Why did you choose to become a nail technician? And just a couple words about it.
Well, it was actually very humble beginnings. I didn't grow up with the desire to be a nail tech all of my life. It was my desire to go to college. My parents expected me to go to college on a sports scholarship. But while I was going through high school, I decided that I didn't want to continue on in sports. It was very demanding, and I chose not to go to college. So 2 years after high school, I decided that working in a grocery store wasn't for me, and I had a little more ambition. And my sister had already gone to school for hair, so I thought, well, the beauty industry might be a good idea. So I chose the nail industry, and that was in 1994. And it certainly has provided me like an incredible living, an incredible lifestyle, and the golden opportunities that have gotten me to where I am today.
That's awesome. We're so happy you're with us.
I'm so happy I'm with us.
So you were working for a long time for a very big company, and now you're doing it on your own.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that, please, and how, what difficulties did you have on your way?
Okay. Well, working for Cuccio was very interesting. I call it 10 years of college. While I may not have gone to college, working for Tony for 10 years and running, a $38 million company was hands-on college. When I started, we were only a $15 million company, and we became a $38 million company. Actually, it was 11 years. So I was able to start with the company when I was very young and learning and grow with the company. And by the end of it, I was doing a lot of research and development, marketing, packaging and artwork and sourcing and doing everything that is involved in running a company. So it was an easy transition to decide to leave the company and start my own company. And it really just came down to good education. Tony was paying me a paycheck, and I was making a very good paycheck. I was living a very good lifestyle. But in his education, I learned about residual income. And residual income is the money that you're able to make while you're asleep. While I'm sitting here doing an interview right now, I have orders coming into my company, and so that's residual income. And when you work for someone, you don't get the benefit of residual income. You go to work, you get paid, you go home. And so, it was bold and brave to leave a company I had been with for a total of 21 years.
Oh, wow.
But so far, it's so good.
So what do you do now? What do you sell? What is the orders coming for?
So right now I started a company called Nailebrity, and it's a spin-off of all of my adventures on TV now. I thought it would be great to, I coined the term Nailebrity during Nail It, just to, we have celebrity manicurists, and those are manicurists who do the nails of celebrities. But because television is so new in the nail industry, we didn't have a term for somebody who has been on TV and who has done nails. And so I came up with the word Nailebrity for that person. And that was a year ago. So when it was time to name my company, I thought, well, that's a great word. If you invent a word, it's easier to get social media because it's a word that's probably not taken. So I was able to get .com, .org, .everything. And, Facebook and Instagram is all Nailebrity. So right now I have one SKU, which is funny. It sounds like you're so small, you only have one item. But what I'm doing is, it's called Take Two, It's Not a Wrap, going with the Hollywood theme. And it's a protective base coat film that when applied to the nail, you no longer have to soak in acetone to remove soak-off gel.
That's great.
Yeah, and as a business decision, nail color, polish, gel is a $7 billion industry. And my product can go with any polish and any gel. And so
we got to use it this weekend because we had competition going on and we had many people who were modeling their nails, so we could get a nail done and just take it off and just save it, because we have so many great artists and great technicians here, so that's amazing, right?
Yeah.
So could you please tell us a little bit about nail industry in States, because for Russian nail technician it's very interesting. What kind of, are there any categories, what kind of education we have here in States?
We're very structured in the United States. It's lucky that each individual state does act differently than the federal government as a whole. And so we do still have a couple of states where licensing is not required, but for the whole, most of the United States, well, 90% of the United States is licensing required. So we have, I would hope, pretty well-structured, well-educated industry in comparison to most of the countries, because for outside the United States, you don't have a governing body covering licensing. What you do have is manufacturers offering talented educators and companies who are training and certifying those technicians. So anybody who wants to be a nail technician in America has to go to school. They have to get a license, they have to pass a test. And that has helped elevate, to some extent, the quality of the industry. Unfortunately, what's happened in the last few years, though, is the industry has changed. When I started in 1994, it was a very small industry. And only the wealthy could afford to get their nails done because we charge so much. Well, now that we've had low-wage labor come into the country, bring down the price of nails, the population that gets their nails done in America is very high. There are a lot of nail technicians making a lot of money, and there is a lot of business. Unfortunately, when an industry booms like that, the quality of the work goes down. So I'm starting to see an influx of interest in education again, which we were out of. I can go to Russia and give a class and have a very big turnout. If I try to give a class in America, 10 years ago, it was a very low turnout. Everybody felt like they knew everything. But it's changed quite a bit, and I even see it changing further. We're moving out of acrylics and into gels, and we're moving out of square and into Russian stilettos. So with the change of product and the change of shapes, I'm seeing new needs for education.
When you're telling about we're moving, what is in right now in States, and actually you're traveling a lot. You've been to Australia, you've been to Europe just last week.
Yeah.
To London.
Yes.
To the
Nailebrity.
So have you been the main judge there?
Yes, I've been the head judge there now. I call it head booth judge.
Booth judge. Okay.
We used to have a single head judge when Nailebrity was operating as Nailympics. Now that it's changed and we're Nailebrity, we've gone from a monarchy to what I say is a democracy. And I'm the head booth judge. Marion Newman from the UK, famous artist. She is the head floor judge.
Okay.
And then of course we have Alex Fox, and she's the main editor of Scratch magazine. She runs the magazine. Yeah. And then Janine Derbyshire and her husband own Scratch. So it's really the four of us that are the governing body of Nailebrity.
So what are differences in styles, in what is popular in different areas of the world?
Oh, it's so different. In the UK, it used to be really heavy in European gels, and now they're flipping over to acrylics while we're flipping over to gels. I feel like, and it's funny, I was just mentioning this in a conversation today, I feel like that the Russians tend to want to lead. While a lot of countries look to America to be the leaders in nails, and they tend to follow the styles that we're doing, I know from my experience of traveling to Moscow and dealing with Russian competitors that you guys are your own leader. While the rest of the world was doing squares, you did stiletto. And now that, everybody's going almond and stiletto, you have Russians inventing edge and these new shapes and coining the terms. And so I find that, when I watch the Russians do the work, that I kind of walk away going, oh, I learned something new today. Even their artwork, a few years ago, before I became head judge, I had to judge the art. And, the difference in Korean and Japanese nail art versus Russian nail art. You get the cutesy, colorful kawaii, Japanese work. But I say the Russians are like sexy and provocative and, I love it. I think it's great. Yeah.
Okay, so now back to States. So we are so global right now, and you say Russians and this and that. And do we have here online education where you can become a nail technician learning online?
There's a few people popping up and do it. I have my own opinion of it. I think learning techniques, maybe there's a way that you apply gel differently and you have a technique that you can share. I certainly love that sort of online education. But when it comes to becoming a licensed technician, I feel like that needs to be more hands-on. And so I would hope that a technician isn't looking to the internet to be licensed and learn what they need to learn. I would prefer also that you watch as little as possible online before you go through person-to-person training, because there'll be a lot of bad habits that will have to break you up. But I do see the benefit in online education. There's a lot of other things beyond the nail table, than just techniques and how to apply acrylics or gels. Business, a lot of nail technicians go into business for themselves, either booth running or want to become salon owners. And nail schools don't teach you how to run your business, how to work your costs, your pricing, and determine how much of your money is profit and what's not profit. So for that type of information, I think you have to go online for it right now, unless you come to nail camp and take my class.
These were fabulous classes. I've been to one of them and it was very interesting. But what do you have to have special to become to get work in very cool salon, let's say in LA or somewhere else, very high-end salon?
In a high-end salon, they'll probably expect that, of course, you've been through your training and you have your license. Some of them, you'd be surprised, would prefer you out of school, because just like I said, they don't want to break you of your bad habits. What most of the high-end salons will do is they'll take you in as an apprentice, and they'll train you to work at their caliber, and that's actually a great experience. You may take less money in the beginning and not make as much money as apprentice, but the education that you receive basically for free while you're being paid to work is invaluable. Some of the mid-range salons, or spas will expect you to have gotten education beyond schooling, like product knowledge education, and most of the time they'll require it in the brand they're carrying. So if they're carrying a specific brand of gel color, they will hope that you've already had that training in that gel color. So continuing your education in the United States is important. I mean, we're a fashion industry now. We're not just, fingernail aesthetics. We are an accessory. And so fashion changes from season to season. And you have to keep up your education just to stay with what is in style and what's not in style.
And as you're talking about fashion, now we're coming to your show.
Yeah.
Russian, the Mastera Krasоты, it's a Russian online training system. It's a very big right now in Russia. And they translate the show we had recently. And that's why you're very known also for different levels.
Well, thank you for translating it.
It's not only for championships, it's also for competitions. It's also for everybody who is taking the classes from this forum, from this page. And there are a lot of discussions and comments, and the question is, all this crazy art that they're doing there. Of course, it's not applicable in the life.
Absolutely not.
What for is that this show then?
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about
I
that?
can. When they create a show, production gets involved, and usually production will hire an expert who advises them. But also production tends to know their viewership better than maybe our expert may. They know what it takes to bring in, enough viewers to get a good enough rating to continue a show. So I think what happened with our show is the expert gave them advice, and there were particular parts of our industry that they felt were more exciting to watch and entertaining. And so they did a lot of focus on it, and this over-the-top crazy stuff was part of that. And it's not anything you see in a normal everyday salon. You are starting to see more 3D work, and technicians and their clients are getting more adventurous in the artwork going on the nail, but nothing like the challenge that they had. The quick dry challenge, the first challenge on every episode was geared to seem more realistic. And I think that appealed to the regular viewer because they're curious about, well, I can wear that or I can do that. But I think we lost them a little bit when we got to the really crazy stuff. Our ratings were high in the nail community. The nail techs loved us. Mm-hmm. But I think we didn't quite have enough drama for the average viewer. These reality shows now, they like a lot of drama. They want tears, they want hair pulling, they want fighting. And I'm happy, I'd be happier to not have the ratings and walk away from a show I can feel honored to be a part of, that I felt represented the industry that I feel responsible for, I guess. Part of my reputation and how I behave on that show or in an interview like this is I have a huge responsibility to our industry, and I want to represent it well. And I feel very proud of what we accomplished with Nail It without hair pulling. Nailed It was great. There just was no drama. So it's great.
I thank you very much. And I have a last question.
Okay.
Is there any secret? Do you know if there are any new shows coming out that we can
There's a few. Yeah, there's going to be more. The nail industry has now been seen, and people are seeing there's an interest in. There's facets of it. There's more than just being a nail tech at the table. We just had a whole reality film crew follow us the entire time at Nailebrity.
Oh, wow.
So in the UK, there's already, the filming is done. They're editing now, and there'll be a show.
Oh, that's very exciting.
Yeah, so there's more to come. I know of a few things in the work. Don't know details. And I've had people reach out to me, so I don't know. We'll see. I think we're at the beginning. I think we're a baby, and now we're going to see more and more and more on TV.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I thank you very much for taking your time.
Thank you for having me. Oh my God, I'm so honored. And thank you to the Russian techs. I appreciate your fans, and I appreciate your amazing artwork. You are truly amazing. I hope to see you at Nailebrity. And if you do, I would love for you to introduce yourself to me.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Спасибо вам большое за то, что вы смотрели наше интервью с очаровательной Elaine Watson. Я Надя Freund, специально для мастеров красоты из Сиэтл, штат Вашингтон. Пока.
Bye.